Welcome. David and I have agreed to come on and basically do a bit of a discussion around who we are individually, what we are doing in the industry individually, and how we're trying to come together and show people some different ways. So I guess with that in mind, David, let's start with you introducing yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself and your own wellness journey.
Great. Yeah. So I'm David McLaughlin. I'm a consultant psychiatrist, and I specialize in addictions and ADHD and other mental health conditions. I'm also the CEO of Curb. Curb is a predictive technology company, and our mission is to help people to self-manage harmful habits and addictive behaviors. Next week, we are launching our mobile app, which helps people to reduce or quit drinking, or to maintain and celebrate their sobriety. And that's kind of partly how we know Club Claritee and the Claritee group is through kind of collaborations that we're doing next week. Because we both kind of have this very similar kind of mission, really, just to help people to enjoy life with less alcohol and drink less liquor.
Yeah. And I love the fact, David, that you've took what you do as a profession and what you've seen as a professional, and you've created something. You've created something to try and help others, and that isn't from, individuals coming to see you as a doctor. It's you've created something based on the science, based on the evidence that you see on a day-to-day basis, and that you've seen over the years that you've been practicing. And you've took all that knowledge and all that power that you've gained and garnered over the years, and you've used it to create something that is actually very beneficial and can help others.
Yeah, I think I think sometimes I'm a bit disruptive, or a bit, and sometimes when I see something that's I think's broken that could be done better or fixed, I can't help myself, and I just kind of I want to get in amongst it, and I quite like challenging the convention, I guess. And then I mean, you asked as well about my own personal wellness journey, and I'm what people might call sober curious. So I'm actively experimenting with this idea of giving up alcohol altogether. Alcohol has been a big part of my life, kind of growing up in Scotland as a teenager, and also at kind of medical school and being a junior doctor in London. But more and more, I'm beginning to realize I think my life might be better if I just stop drinking altogether. And it could be better in all sorts of different dimensions. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to build a product or an app like Curb, because I wanted to give people that choice of kind of reducing or taking a break for a certain period of time, or quitting altogether. And for people who've already made that decision, to kind of celebrate that decision and to be part of a digital community of people who are like-minded, and maintaining that kind of lifestyle. And actually, that's a lifestyle that, again, this is why it's quite exciting for us to be working with Claritee, because it's a lifestyle that you guys kind of really make quite attractive. And I know you've also had your own kind of journey of kind of wellness, and whereas I would say I'm sober curious, you are sober.
Yeah, and to be fair though, I love the fact, because Claritee and Club Claritee is not just for people who are sober. It's for sober curious people. It's for people who drink still, and all we are trying to do is give people a choice. Just like you have a choice whether you go and eat an Indian, or whether you go and eat a Chinese, or you go and eat Spanish food, or you've got a choice with whether you come to a totally alcohol-free night, or whether you go to an alcohol night. You could, and you've got a choice. And sometimes for those people who do drink, you might want to come to 2 or 3 of our events in a year, and you might go, yeah. And, eventually it might be that you'll be coming to 5 or 6 of them, because you actually find you enjoy them more, than you do going to the big boozy ones. And it's a choice for me, because when I had all my personal struggles, if somebody had told me what to do, I wouldn't listen. I never listened. So it was being allowed to have that choice and that freedom to choose it for myself. But you are right, the communities that we're building are super powerful and super engaging. And because there's no mind altering substances involved, there's no drugs, there's no drink. There's no mind-altering substances, so everybody is their authentic selves.
Yeah, Alex, I just realized, like, we didn't give you like an intro to say what the Claritee Group is. Like, do you want to just say like what is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so effectively, the Claritee Group do corporate alcohol-free events on a large scale. So we take company work nights out and we create them into something engaging, something sociable, something very inclusive and fun, effectively, and all alcohol-free. So you've got the connection from and the interaction from team building within a company. You've got engaging with other clients or other, on a larger scale of other departments, etc. Everybody's, and I flip it back to that point I made, that it's all, nobody is taking a mind altering substance. So nobody's drinking alcohol, nobody's taking drugs. It's all very, so people are their authentic selves. And just like we're having a very open and easy, discussion now, that is what you get from the start to the finish at our nights. Along with the dancing and the doing a sober conga for 250 people at 7:30 on a Thursday night or something. But that's what makes it fun. And then off the back of that, I've wanted to help more people and just not be just for the corporate world. So we've created Club Claritee, which is where we're partnering up and doing an event together at the W Hotel next Wednesday. And again, it's bringing amazing people together. It's bringing collaborations. It's putting people together and allowing people to have fun.
I really,
go on, David, sorry.
Sorry, I'm jumping in, but I really actually do think there's such a need for what you're doing, because there's so much of corporate entertainment just revolves around alcohol, and I've got really close friends and people very close to me who work in industries where all the corporate entertainment involves alcohol. And I always think that for people who don't drink, for people for whatever like religious reasons or because they're pregnant or just personal choice, it kind of excludes them. And actually, I always think that, like, I think everybody deserves a chance to succeed and have those opportunities to network and do business. And the thing about, and I can say this from experience, I've been to 2 of your events, and I can genuinely say this, they're such good fun. And I think a lot of I'm a sober curious person, right? And I enjoy drinking. And so I would normally have gone to those type of events with a sense of dread, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have my crutch. I'm not going to be able to like rely on alcohol to kind of be the icebreaker or to manage kind of social anxiety. But actually you curate these events that are really, really fun. Like it's kind of organized, managed fun in terms of like, there's obviously the games and the mixing, but it's funny because everybody goes, I'm talking about your company, but just from my perspective, because everybody knows the deal going into it, because everybody knows that it's an alcohol-free space, I think it does change the dynamic. And yeah, I do think it brings people out of their shell a bit more, because they know that it's like a safe alcohol-free space. And you do have to kind of rely on some of those social skills, but it's facilitated for you because of what the atmosphere that you guys create. I think, honestly, like, I keep on telling you this, but I think there's a really big market for you in the corporate entertainment world. And like, I'm really excited that you guys are coming down to London and doing this.
Yeah, and listen, it's step by step, and taking the UK's perception of corporate events and turning it on its head is not going to happen quickly. And I love the fact, I think so far on the corporate stuff, we've had probably over 1,500 people come to 4 events so far, and that's an amazing start. And we've not had one bit of negative feedback. Which I have to say, out of 1,500 clients, that's not a bad start. And then I had a friend come to the last one, the Shine Awards, the UK first that we did with Steps Together, and he said to me, "I had an amazing night. Would I choose to come to one every month? No, but would I come to 2 or 3 of your events a year? Yeah, I would." And I was like, "That's perfect." And he drinks. and he drinks, but he said, yeah, I would come because I actually really enjoyed it. It was really good. Me and my wife had an amazing time. We made some great connections, and not only was it good personally, but it was actually good business wise as well.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, so the thing, so you finish. I
No,
think
no, no. I was just thinking as we were talking and thinking, and those connections that you make and the business, introductions. And I know that from an event that we did in Manchester last year, two firms actually came together and basically ended up doing quite a lot of work and business together from the event.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you're sober as well, you're not drunk or intoxicated, you're going to be on best form. You're not going to be slurring your words and kind of embarrassing yourself. You don't need to worry about kind of HR doesn't need to worry about like misconduct or kind of any of those kind of headaches. And also, you're more likely to remember those connections that you've made the next morning. It's not like blurry, fuzzy, like, I don't know. Sometimes like I walk through the city, and sometimes like you see people like, if I'm working late at night time and I'm leaving, walking through the city like 9:30 or 10, and people are wasted, they're not doing good business. That's not like, if anything, they're doing reputational damage for their companies.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, but it's the old way, isn't it? It was the way that things used to always be done.
Yeah,
And you look back to, years ago, and that was what everybody perceived to be. And to your point that you made earlier, people, if they didn't go out and get really drunk with the clients, they wouldn't progress up the ladder naturally as well.
yeah,
And it was expected that they had to do that, and they had to go and basically be at the client's beck and call, and the world is changing. The world is changing for the better in this
yeah,
regard. And as an employer, I've got to be more inclusive. I've got to make sure that everybody's got an option. And some of the events that we'll do as a business will still have alcohol involved, and that's fine, but it's on a sensible basis. But then some of the events that we do as a business don't have alcohol because of that
yeah,
very thing. It's got to be inclusive. And the Claritee nights that we do, we always make sure that we've got a total mix of games so that there's something for everybody.
yeah,
And that's the inclusive side. It's not all one type fits all, because we are all unique.
yeah. But I honestly, as somebody who I enjoy drinking, I didn't miss it when I've been to your events. Like I was at the Shine Awards with you as well, and I just didn't miss it, and it was almost like it was almost liberating, the fact that there wasn't any alcohol. And it's
Yeah,
funny, this event that we're doing next week as well. I've had a couple of people who are on our guest list asking me, "Is it going to be a dry event?" And I've
yeah,
almost been apologizing, but saying, "Yeah, actually, we're doing a dry event. We want to practice what we preach. It's not going to be, we're not going to be like serving like alcoholic drinks there." And actually, I was worried that how people would react to it. But actually, so far, the response I've had is people have been relieved, because they're like, well, it's a Wednesday night. I don't want to wake up Thursday morning kind of groggy and hungover. So what people have been saying to me on our guest list is like, oh, thank goodness. This is like, yeah, we get to go to the fancy hotel, W Hotel. We get to learn more about Curb and the app and everything. We get to mingle with like different, investors, founders, all these interesting, exciting people. But they just have that kind of confidence, that kind of
yeah.
like feeling of liberation, that they know that there's no pressure to drink.
Yeah, and to be fair, I did a podcast this morning with a lady who's over in South Africa now, and she was asking me about where did the concept come from for Claritee, etc. And Bern and I obviously went through, and Bern came up and created the idea of the Be the Spirit night, etc. But the concept came from before we get to a stage where we actually have a drink. As a child, I have an amazing life. I socialize, I dance, I connect with people, I mess around with my friends, I'll, be silly, I'll have fun. And it's authentic fun. It's, when you see the kids having those belly laughs and, not being able to stop. And,
Yeah,
that's the bit. And it's only because as a nation or as a world that we've been said, been so used to celebrate, you have a drink. To
Yeah.
commiserate, you have a drink. To if you've had a bad day, you have a drink. If you've had a good day, you have a drink. And it's almost become entwined in our society.
Yeah. Do you know what? That you made me think of an expression that I heard once, that if you need alcohol to make something fun, then it's not fun.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, I think honestly, I think you guys do a really great job, and I'm really excited. I know I know I've been for anyone watching, I've been pestering Alex and his team over the last 2 weeks about this event, because I'm really like I'm anxious, I'm nervous about it. Like it's a launch of our app, and we've spent the last 3 years like doing kind of loads of like innovative research, and we've had funding from the government, from the UK research and innovation body Innovate UK. Like £200,000 has gone into this, of government public funding has gone into this app, which, the studies that we've done, research and studies we published in the British Journal of Psychiatry, we won an award from the Royal College of Psychiatrists. Like I know that the app and the product is great, but it's nerve wracking when you're launching it, and but it's comforting to know that we're doing it with you guys as well. That's definitely.
Yeah, listen, and to be fair, that's where for me, it's all about connecting with good partners and people who are doing good things. Just like, I love the fact that you've, as I said, as I touched on at the beginning, that you've took your own journey from a doctor and, a science perspective, and you've decided that you want to try and create something that actually helps people. So you've gone off and you've written your papers, you've got the funding, you've drawn down the funding, you've actually put all the time and investment and the effort into. And I'm sure that once you launch, you'll just carry on slightly tweaking it, and there'll be some updates and there'll be bits, and it won't be perfect, but nothing needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if you get it out there and it starts helping people, a small number of people to begin with, then a larger number of people, then you've done an amazing thing. You've done
No,
an amazing thing. You should be proud of yourself, not nervous about it.
no, I know. I mean, I think it's just normal nerves, but I mean, I do love it. Like, there's definitely something like thrilling about building something new, and especially like, I don't know, I'm the kind of person that if I see a problem, I can't help myself. Like, I just want to try and, if it's something I care about, I really want to fix it. And especially if you can, when you can see all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle and how they should fit together, and you can see those opportunities, I find it irresistible. And that's kind of what happened when I was doing a research fellowship at the Institute of Psychiatry, and I met all these really clever, smart like researchers and scientists who were looking at predictive models for conditions such as depression or bipolar affective disorder, and they were looking at the way the data that our phone kind of gathers about us, about our behaviors and about our use of our phones, and also things like wearable devices like Fitbits and Garmin's and all these things that like measure things like step count and heart rate variability. And then I realized, well, if we can predict relapses in depression, or if we can predict relapses in bipolar affective disorder, what about if we could predict relapses in unwanted drinking behaviors? So not even just for people with severe alcohol dependency, but what about people like me, people who, like, sometimes I just drink too much on a Friday or Saturday night? What about if we could create a platform that gathers that data, interprets that data, and then starts to warn you with early warning predictors and offers these just-in-time adaptive interventions? I'm going on my spiel now, but delivering the right kind of support to the right person at the right time. And I,
Yeah, which is so powerful because it's basically, it's, I guess, from a marketing perspective, it's like targeted marketing, isn't it? Because
yeah,
basically what you're doing is you're taking that information, the stats, the information, the data, and you're saying to that person, watch out, because you're looking, there's a very high percentage chance that you're going to basically go and, have a big binge night, because that's what you're building towards, isn't it?
yeah, and even, getting to the extent where we can say, hey David, it looks like your step count has decreased this week because you've not left your desk, and we know that in weeks where your step count drops below 5,000 steps a day, that's when you're most at risk of these unwanted patterns of drinking. Well, how about increasing your step count today? Why don't you go for a walk around the park, and giving people the types of tips and hints that actually work for them as an individual? And that was the potential that I saw with this emerging technology, machine learning. And I just thought, like, well, I'm an addiction psychiatrist, and like, why haven't I getting involved in doing this, and why haven't I being part of the solution? Yeah, and I can't sometimes these kind of things I can't help myself. Like, my life would have been so much easier if I just become a kind of Harley Street.
Yeah, you say it would have been easier. You say it would have been easier, but it wouldn't have been rewarding.
No.
And I think there's a chemical within the brain that when you're actually giving back and helping others, you get as much of a boost, a chemical boost, as you do from an addiction when you're taking alcohol or drugs and etc. Because I think I'm addicted to trying to help everyone else now, and I think I'm addicted to trying to do good things because it probably gives me the bit that I had when I was having my addiction of alcoholism, etc.
We actually haven't talked about that, but like, do you want to, like, why did you start off Claritee, the Claritee group, and like, what was your like experience with alcohol before, and like, how has it changed? Like,
yeah, so I mean, I'm an open book, and on next Monday, yeah, the 14th, I will be 2 years clean and sober, and that has obviously been a 3.5 year journey to get to that point. I obviously had some health condition struggles, and about 3.5 years ago, I went into my first rehab. But like everybody, I went, and I would describe my first rehab was a bit of a reset, proving that I could have 28 days off the alcohol and I wasn't an alcoholic. And then that rolled on to, obviously it progressed more when I came back, and then I went and did a 3-month stint. But then my 3-month stint was where I did all the internal work on myself, because I've always been incredibly closed emotionally, and grew up in an era of a man has to be a man, and the strongest man never cried, the strongest man never spoke about how he felt, and the strongest man looked after everybody else, and never had any problems themselves. So all the emotions and feelings I just pushed down for 40 odd years and ran away from. And I went and did 3 months of work on myself doing that, and I convinced myself that I'd fixed the cause. So the alcohol was just a symptom to the cause. So I came out and said, well, I fixed myself, so I can drink again. And obviously I was proven that I'm not the one person in the world that can beat addiction. And my journey carried on worse again. As it does with addiction, it's a progressive illness. And I reached my rock bottom where I didn't care if I lived or died anymore. And it took my son telling me that he needed me to give me the kick to go back into rehab for the last time. And the turning point for me was throwing in the towel, when I actually accepted that this was the one thing in my life that I couldn't beat, because I've never been beaten by anything in my life before, whatever it was, in business, in work, and I'd always found a way of fixing or making something okay again. And this was the one time in my life that I had to accept defeat and stop fighting it. And once I stopped fighting it, it became easier. The beginning part of recovery is incredibly difficult. It's hard. It's hard because you've got the cravings, the body dependency, the mental, thoughts and everything that are very, super high levels. But it gets easier. It gets easier. And it's, it's the old saying of a day at a time. But effectively, I took my worst experiences in life and decided I wanted to take my experiences and try and help other people, and create something that, if I created something that gave a few people the opportunity not to go through what I went through, if I could reach and help some of the families who were going through what we'd been going through as a family. You know, I remember having a conversation with my mum, who's in her mid-70s, and she told me that my addiction had got to that bad a point that she was waiting for a phone call to say I was going to be dead. You know,
Yeah.
she used to go to bed at night thinking the phone's going to ring and will it be tonight that I get told he's dead? And that is an horrendous thing to put your parent through. You know,
Yeah.
whether they're 70 or whether. And very sadly, in the last 3 years, I've probably lost double figures of friends' lives to addiction. I only found out last week that an Italian friend of mine died last year, leaving behind a family. You know, I lost somebody else at the beginning of the year, leaving behind, you know, kids and the family. So it's just inspired me to go, okay, you know, let's do something. Let's do something different, and let's, you know, try and help people and try and show that one, it's okay for people to be vulnerable. Two, it's okay not to be okay. And three, that we don't need a mind-altering substance to fix things. We just need to be able to work things through ourselves, and get comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable at times, because
Yeah.
emotions will make you uncomfortable at times at various different times, but ultimately an emotion won't kill you.
Yeah. I mean, it's this is actually the first time that I've obviously we've met loads of times, but this is the first time that I've sat and listened to your story, and there's so much of what you're saying there that, like, I wish we could just bottle that up and, like, share that with more people. I think there's a couple of things that you said that I want to just pick up on, because it was interesting hearing about your first experience of doing that 28-day detox, and then you came
Yeah,
out and you told yourself, well, this is the evidence that I don't have a drink problem. And
yeah,
it's that's actually, that's a common, we call it a cognitive distortion,
yeah.
because people who have, when you're depressed, you think the glass is half empty when actually it's just as
It's
half.
hard to,
Yeah.
yeah,
And when you're anxious, you tend to kind of over predict the likelihood or the severity of negative events and underestimate your ability to cope. We call that catastrophizing. Those are examples of cognitive distortions. And when you're addicted to something, when you've got used to a certain habit or behavior for a long period of time, you develop these cognitive distortions, and it changes the way that you basically tell yourself lies. You create these justifications to allow yourself to drink more. So that little voice saying, "Hey, Alex, you've done 28 days in detox. This is evidence that you don't have a problem." That's a cognitive distortion, and so on the Curb app, that's actually something that we try and kind of help people to recognize these cognitive distortions where the addiction is lying to them, and sometimes we get people to externalize that little voice, and give it a name, or give it, like, give it some sort of, like, a character. I've got one patient who calls it fake news. So, like, oh, I'm just gonna, yeah, or permissive thoughts. So, like, you're kind of giving yourself permission to drink. That's another kind of cognitive distortion where, like, oh, I'm just opening this bottle of red wine because I need it for the recipe. It's for the bolognese, but it's like, is that actually a permissive thought? Is it a cognitive distortion? Or I deserve to have this drink. It's like because I've worked really hard this week, but actually what you probably deserve is to relax and unwind and to wake up refreshed tomorrow. But that's actually on the app. We have, like, a daily lessons plan that we kind of help people to identify these cognitive distortions and to challenge them, change them. It's like a cognitive behavioral technique that we use. And then when you were talking about, the other thing that really resonated with me as well is sitting with discomfort. And you talked about the fact that emotions or feelings don't kill you. But the other thing I was just going to say is they're temporary. So again, I do this. This is what I do with my patients in my clinic, as well as, like,
yeah.
we help people realize that, do you know those cravings? They're temporary. Like, do you know when you crave a bar of chocolate? If you don't succumb to it, if you don't have the bar of chocolate, you don't die. and actually the craving goes away. And those cravings, those emotions, they're kind of like waves, because like they build in intensity and they get really strong. You might get kind of like craving thoughts, craving sensations in your body even. But if you can ride through it, if you can sit with that discomfort, it actually passes, again, a bit like a wave, that it grows, but then it goes down again. You've just got to learn to sit with it, sit with that discomfort. And again, not that I'm plugging the app. Well, I am obviously plugging the app, but we have a great big button.
Plug the app, because if you're going to be helping people, David, that's what it's about.
Yeah, but that's what we give you a whole bunch of tools to help manage those. You're not alone. We're there to give you all the tools that you might need. And again, we give you tools that we know work for you, because we ask you where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, and actually that's what allows us to identify kind of what is the most appropriate tool for you in this moment in time, and what's going to help you manage those cravings.
Yeah, and I actually love that, because everybody's an individual, and just like in recovery, some people go to 10 meetings a day, some people don't do any meetings, some people give back as their recovery, some people go and do shares, whatever. Everyone's unique, and everyone needs something slightly different to somebody else, and it's not one size fits all. And on the thoughts and the feelings, I live by a rule now, these days, that I cannot control what thoughts or feelings come into my head or my body. I can only choose what I do with them. So
Yeah.
I have a choice as to what I do with that thought or that feeling. So, and that's the only thing I'm in control of, because I'm sure you can tell better than me how many thoughts we have come into our brains each day or hour, and we all have every probably feeling in a week under the sun that you could probably have. But I can't control having those feelings, and I can't control having those thoughts come in, but I can choose what I do with them. And I think that's a nice way of trying to look at things.
Yeah, you're speaking my language now, because there's a painting that I've seen of a sailboat, and it's on rough seas, and there's a quote underneath the painting, and it says something along the lines of you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can control the direction of your sails. So it's that kind of similar mentality where there's things that may happen, and you can't control those things that happen, but you can control how you choose to respond to them. And I think, I don't know, nobody likes to feel helpless or powerless, and it's a really nice way of thinking about kind of life and kind of giving.
Because you're gonna have challenges in life, and you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. Do I still get angry? Yeah, I do. Do I still get cross? Yeah, I do. Do I still get sad? Yeah. I have every single emotion, and I probably have more emotions these days than I ever did for 42 years before that, because I just shut them all out and pushed them all away.
Yeah. It's so, honestly, I found just speaking to you over this live so interesting, because I feel like I've got to know you more, like just doing this live. I know that I'm conscious of time, but I was just going to ask you, like, if there's anybody that's watching this and they're thinking, oh, this, like, I don't know, Claritee group sounds really interesting, I might want to book them for an alternative Christmas party, or like I want to just go to one of their events, just as like as a random person, like maybe to meet more like-minded people that are also kind of just happy to have a great night out without alcohol. Like, where would you recommend people go, or how can they contact you?
Just get in contact with us via our website, Instagram, all our social media stuff. So we've got Claritee, which is TEE, because it's obviously a clever play on teetotal. But people don't notice, because everyone goes, what's the company called? Claritee. And then, it's got the TEE for teetotal. And our obviously strapline is helping you see things more clearly. Which, and I know it's going to take time. It's going to take time, and things are going to evolve. But I was in Ibiza last week, and we're talking about going over to Ibiza and starting to do some of our alcohol-free nights over in Ibiza. With a view, I've got a vision that in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll end up doing a couple of big club nights in Ibiza sober, but ours will be sort of 4 PM till 9 at night. We'll have entertainers, no alcohol, lovely weather, everybody comes, parties, even probably kids can come as well, because there won't be any alcohol, so there won't be any restrictions. So you can have families all partying in Ibiza, and then everyone goes home at 9 o'clock and goes, wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. And then, imagine in 5 years' time having a alcohol-free Glastonbury where you actually can have all the kids with you because nobody's taking drugs or drink. Imagine what that could be like.
Well, it's definitely. I think you're definitely on something. It's a growing market. I was reading a report the other day where it showed that something like 41% of all generations want to drink less alcohol, but when you look at millennials and then look at Gen Z, that number increases even further. So Gen Z, 61% of Gen Z want to drink less alcohol, but that's conflicted with the fact that 87% of them recognize that alcohol is still a big part of culture. So actually, I do think that you're really onto something, because more and more people want to drink less and live more. So yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys do in the future, and hopefully
I think the great thing is that both our companies go hand in hand with each other. Your Curb app is trying to help other people and taking science and research and giving people an opportunity to use all of that information and that research and the stuff that you've done, as a doctor and as a professional with your team, and you've gone and done all the research, you've done all the hard work. So you're giving people the choice of using the information now. And to help themselves, and it is like you said, you get out what you put in. So if you're willing to spend I don't know, how long does it take to upload all your individual stuff on the app?
Oh, how long does it take, like, a person to use?
Yeah, like an individual. Yeah, so if I was to join, and I had to put in all my information, my likes, my dislikes, my regular, sort of, patterns, etc., from start to finish. So how long would it be? 10 minutes, a half an hour, an hour?
So the onboarding process takes, like, honestly, like literally 2 or 3 minutes. We ask you a couple of questions about who you are and what your age, gender, or some of the demographics, because that helps us to kind of make sure that we give you the experience that's most relevant for you. We also ask you what your goal is, whether your goal is to reduce drinking, to quit, or whether you've already quit and this is really about celebrating and maintaining sobriety. And again, that allows us to give you the program that's most appropriate for your goal and for your needs. And then we also ask a couple of questions as well about, like, how much you're currently drinking, a bit of signposting. If it sounds like somebody's, like, in need of more kind of medical interventions, like more kind of actual face-to-face interventions, we obviously would signpost people appropriately. But thereafter, the value of the product is you feel it immediately, because you've instantly got access to all the tools for craving. Every day you're getting a new kind of lesson. You've immediately got access to the community. You can post pictures of, like, all the kind of, like, sober activities that you're doing or things that worked well for you, and kind of share that advice with other people on that kind of online community. I mean, so in that sense, it works immediately. We're not on day one. We're not going to be able to say, David, you need to take a walk around Brockwell Park.
Yeah. Because
granular detail, but it's we're getting
like everything, every piece of software or every system, every application, the more you're willing to put into it, the more you get back out of it.
You're so right. Like, because I use it myself now every single day. I use this product every single day to help me to drink less and to only drink in the days I want to drink. And when I do drink, that I only drink within those boundaries that I have chosen to drink on that particular day. And the more I use this product, the better I am at maintaining my boundaries. But it's through, like, it's like practice. They say practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So kind of getting into that daily routine.
I love that. The practice makes permanent. We
Yeah,
use that with at the boxing where I volunteer and help coach at the local boxing gym, and we use that. Si uses that all the time. That practice makes permanent,
yeah,
and it's so true.
yeah. So I mean, I guess other things. If people want to come to the event next week, it's on Wednesday, the 16th of October. There might be there might be a few tickets left. I'm hoping.
Yeah, there is a few tickets left because we always have some extra capacity if it's
Yeah,
needed. And to be fair, we've got some other amazing groups joining us now as well. We've got various pockets of different communities coming together, and everyone's coming to support you guys and your launch of Curb. And most importantly, we're going to have a party as well. We're going to have a
yeah,
party and we're going to have lots of fun. We've got a DJ flying in from Ibiza to come and basically do it. We've got a singer coming. We've got loads of mocktail menus. We've got food menus. We've got, the W Hotel is absolutely phenomenal. For anybody who's not been and seen the space, etc., it's an amazing venue.
yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
It's DJ royalty as well, isn't it? It's
Oh yeah, well he plays for the royal family and all sorts. So
yeah,
he's like and because he's a friend of mine, he's come in and doing me a favour. So it's like he keeps on reminding me of this forever. He keeps on saying, you do know. And I'm like, shut up, you're a friend. That's what friends do for each other.
so I mean, tickets they're around about they're not super expensive, so they're around about £10 or something, aren't they?
11 quid something. I think including the Eventbrite fee, it's like £11.55 or something. It's nothing.
Yeah. So if I mean, like I mean, to be honest, like for Curb, we've got there's a lot of people that we know from Curb, like our investors and people that have been supporting us. That we're basically we're going to be inviting them
Yeah, yeah.
on I guess. But if anybody else wants to, like, if anybody wants to buy a ticket as well, they could go to the website. How would they do it?
Yeah. It's on Eventbrite actually. The W Hotel on Eventbrite. 16th of October. W Hotel. Club Claritee social with Curb. Yeah, so it's on Eventbrite.
Amazing.
I don't know. Can we put a link to the thing on LinkedIn? We'll put a link out on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
For anybody else who wants to join us, we'll put one up tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
That's probably a bit beyond my technology to put something in this now.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I love going out, and I love going out kind of and partying and bit of music, and the atmosphere is going to be really good. And also, like, it's also just a relief knowing that I can go out and not need to worry about like having a hangover the next day, because the decision's been made already. It's an alcohol-free evening, so for me, it's kind of a relief. So I'm looking forward to it.
But you know what? Just like you've said to me, though, David, that you've actually got to know me more by sitting, chatting, and we just chatting. This is what happens on our social nights
Yeah,
because nobody's actually drinking. Because it can start off, everybody's the same, and then once two people have had 4 or 5 drinks, one person could be on a very different planet to the other person. One person might be able to be exactly the same after 4 drinks. One person might be absolutely sloshed and not know what they're doing. And you put 100 people in a room, and you give all those 100 people, and you're going to have so many different varied effects. Whereas you put 100 people who are all their authentic selves, you get a really good atmosphere, is what I will say.
yeah,
You get a really good atmosphere and you get a lot more of a personal connection. You actually get to know people. I've
yeah,
actually, since I've been in recovery, I have built probably my closest relationships of my life, because I'm my authentic self, I'm my true self. I don't run away from all my feelings anymore. So people are actually getting connecting with me a lot stronger because they're actually getting to know the real me.
yeah,
And so am I. So am I guess. It's, because always in the past, I've always had that defense system of, well, I'm just going to block that out and pretend that I'm okay when I'm not.
yeah. I reckon there's a lot of people, probably a lot of men, maybe a lot of women as well, who do that as well, in big high-powered jobs, and just it's a way of kind of, I don't know, surviving, isn't it?
Coping mechanism, yeah. And to be fair, it's a learned behaviour because it's what we've all been used to for so many years. Especially my era, not so much yours. You're a lot younger than me, so especially my era, it was that was the learned behaviour as to what you did. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm that much younger, but then you've got proper grown up children, so like you must. I'm not going to ask how old you are on a LinkedIn line. I'll ask you on Wednesday next week. Yeah, but yeah, Alex, I've really enjoyed speaking with you tonight. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope that people listening or watching this have found it interesting. Maybe kind of been thought provoking. Just like I would do with any of my patients in clinic or any of the users of our app, I just encourage people to be curious. Like that's a great starting point. Start by being curious, see where your own kind of journey with kind of wellness or with alcohol or without alcohol, see where it goes. But that's all that I think we can ask. And if anybody's been watching, like it's always like really, I don't know, humbling, flattering. I don't know. It's just like, it's nice when people kind of tune in and watch these things. It's
To be fair, David, it's lovely to get a good understanding as to where you've started, what you've done in your career, and what you've used, your knowledge and your basically understanding to then take that and create something to try and help other people. So, be proud of yourself, be proud, and don't be nervous about the launch. Don't be nervous that everything has to be perfect, because it doesn't. It doesn't. What you've created is great, and just be patient and let it roll out and let it happen organically.
I know. I'm excited. I am excited, and I want everything to happen. Again, you probably figured this out from like me.
I was the same though. When I
Yeah.
first set up Claritee, I wanted to be across the world in the first 2 years, and I wanted to be this. And you have to just allow it to happen in its own time, and you have to know that slowly is the best way. Slowly, and just let it happen.
Do you know? Actually, I was speaking to another founder from another startup today, and what I was saying, we were talking about moving at pace, but with validation and also with purpose as well. So actually, because I do meet up. Sometimes I meet other founders, and they're moving so quickly, but they're moving without validation of their hypotheses about the market and things like that, and they're also moving without purpose. So that's actually, yeah, it's an interesting point. Again, we should sit down and talk about kind of these kind of things offline and
yeah, listen, and I'm not in a rush. I'm in this space for life now, and that's how I look at it. It's my new life. I've been given an opportunity. I make a joke. I always joke and said that I got sent upstairs when I was in my rock bottom, and they took one look at me and went, "You're not coming in, not yet. Go away." And I got sent back down with a purpose of trying to do some good, and that's if it's going to take as long as it takes. I'm not in a rush, and I'm enjoying myself. And the most important thing is don't let it pass you by. Actually enjoy what you're doing. Actually enjoy, and be proud of the fact that next Wednesday is your launch of all your hard work, everything that you've done and everything that you've created. And come and be loud and be proud about it and smile and, go, yeah.
I will. Alex, thanks very much for tonight. It's been really, I appreciate your time and everything. Yeah, and
my pleasure. Honestly, you know me. It's my pleasure. Honestly, as always, and it's been lovely chatting to you. And I am really excited about the launch of Curb, and I think it's an amazing tool. And it's obviously got a lot of science and a lot of research behind it. And go check it out, people. Definitely go check it out. If it had been around when I was, having all my stuff, I would have been looking at it. I would have been, giving it a go 1,000,000%. But my advice as a parting shot would be, don't wait till you get to that point. Go and use something like Curb, or go and measure and go and just drink mindfully, and be conscious as to what you're drinking and reason why you're drinking. Because if you're not drinking to have fun or on a social environment, then for me, you need to ask yourself, well, what am I drinking for?
Yeah.
You know, if you're sitting there drinking a bottle of wine on your own at night, it's like, well,
yeah,
that's like questionable, isn't it?
I know. If as well, like if anybody actually, if anybody wants to talk about this more, actually, they're very welcome to message me over LinkedIn. I can't give medical advice, but I can point you in the right direction of where people want to go for extra support or advice. So actually, because I was just thinking there that this might have resonated with some people and might have touched upon a nerve. So if anybody does want to kind of like explore this a bit more, I would be delighted if you sent me a message, or if there's somebody that you care about or know that's got like a really significant issue. I love it. I live and breathe this stuff. So and also Alex as well. You've got like loads of like you're like an expert by experience. You know,
listen. I'm like the person who's lived it. I've probably got every single experience under the sun. So I'm like, they just roll me out and go, that's not what to do.
no, actually, can I just say this? Like, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Then I'm going to shoot off because you've got like kids and stuff at home. But you've done an incredible job. Like you are not what not to do. You are what to do, because you're the person who's like, you've been to hell and back, but you've gone through that. What you have done is actually incredible. And next Wednesday, like you've like given me this opportunity to celebrate the launch of Curve, but actually celebrating like your 2-year soberversary. That's an incredible milestone. So like, again, like for you as well, like you're not what not to do. You're the golden case study. You're like the success story.
Yeah, slowly. I don't like compliments. I never have done. I never will do. It always makes me feel very uncomfortable, but thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks,
thank
Alex.
you very much. Yeah, take care. Thank you, David. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Okay, bye.